So then this is the 292S from Cleobury, Mortimer to Kidderminster. Now, as you know, this is currently a closed service because of the pandemic of the coronavirus. And as you know, this is a virtual online video, so I hope you enjoy the video. 292S is a school service version of the 292. That is the Kidderminster to Ludlow, which has just been taken over by Diamonds since the start of the year.
Are trying again to punch through the public consciousness and say, look, get real. This is still a huge problem and it is growing and it is serious and everyone is once again being asked to play their part. Despite that more fractious political environment and
we're now gone through Morley Oak, heading into Worcestershire.
And in trying to create that moment, I think, right around the UK, across those four parts, notwithstanding the political differences, there is a sense of trying once again to appeal to the public. But you know, it's exactly 6 months tomorrow since the Prime Minister told everybody they must stay at home. But here again, he's back with what may seem like a very depressing message for many people, that there is still another 6 months to go, with potentially a full year of all of our lives being profoundly shaped by this pandemic.
Laura, many thanks again for the latest analysis there. So let's take a look at the latest government figures, which show that there has been another big rise in new cases.
So
that's
this
the background
is
to these
the
measures, of course.
Parts of the 292.
In the past 24
So
hours,
if we go back to where we started, so this is the in part with the other parts of the 292. But if we turn back, if you just ignore that, we're now going to go down this little line part.
Average each day over the past week. That number does not include Scotland. In the past 24 hours, 37 deaths were reported of people who had died within 28 days of the positive COVID test. That's the highest daily toll since the middle of July. It means on average in the past week,
so now we're going to go down Church Lane. Quite unusual going down this lane rather than having to go directly, but this is a route that the 292S takes. See, it goes down these quite little lanes.
That they didn't need to shield again unless they're in an area with a local lockdown. Now, some experts suggest the measures announced will not be enough to suppress the virus in different parts of the UK and specifically in England, given what the Prime Minister was talking about. Our medical editor,
now by the ploughing pub,
looks at the challenges ahead.
How do you strike a balance between bearing down on coronavirus while keeping the economy moving? That's the challenge facing ministers.
We're now coming to the junction at the Pound Bank, where the joins from the 201.
And so perhaps may make behaviour less risky.
People will be a little bit more sober when they go home, which means they're less likely to engage in risky behaviours. They're perhaps more likely to remember to put a face covering on when they get onto the bus or the tube. They may go home with friends, but the chances are it's not going to be in as large a group as they would be in the bar with.
The latest reproduction, or R number for the UK, is between 1.1 and 1.4, which means that for every 10 infected people, they'll be passing the virus on to between 11 and 14 others. And the Prime Minister made clear that unless R falls below 1, then further restrictions are likely. It's thought that coronavirus cases are doubling roughly every 7 days and are increasing among all age groups. Hospital admissions are rising too. Yesterday, government scientists said that left unchecked, we could see 50,000 cases a day by mid-October and perhaps 200 deaths a day a month later. Though they stressed this wasn't a prediction, but that would still be a fifth of the 1,000 daily deaths at the peak in early April. Encouraging people to work from home again should mean fewer chances for the virus to spread on public transport and in offices. Then there is Scotland's decision to ban most people visiting other households indoors, aimed at tackling a key driver of infection.
Well, as Laura was mentioning earlier on, all
the
four of the home nations are facing new restrictions, but the
we're
biggest
now
differences so far are in
directly
Scotland and in Northern Ireland,
on part
where
of
people have been banned from visiting other households. In a moment, we'll hear from our Ireland correspondent, Emma Vardy, and our Wales correspondent, Howard Griffith, but we'll start now then with our Scotland editor, Sarah Smith.
The Scottish Government say the virus is spreading rapidly during socialising at home, where physical distancing is harder. So the biggest change in Scotland will be a ban on meeting in each other's homes from tomorrow. These rules have already been in place in Glasgow and the surrounding areas for the last 3 weeks. The data shows they are having a significant effect. Nicola Sturgeon says she knows this is going to be tough, but it's necessary because she believes the measures announced by Boris Johnson will not be sufficient on their own to reduce the spread of the virus. For pubs and restaurants, the rules in Scotland will deliberately be the same as in England, a 10 o'clock curfew in order to try and avoid confusion. Although the First Minister made it clear she would consider tighter restrictions if she had the means to compensate businesses and staff for the loss of trade. Sharing a car journey with a member of another household is going to be banned in Scotland, where it's already mandatory to wear a face mask or a face covering in a taxi. And the Scottish Government is considering a so-called circuit breaker around the October school holidays, and they're already telling people not to go abroad on holiday during half-term.
Here in Wales, the First Minister's called on people to carry on with many of the same sacrifices they've already been making for the last 6 months. Continue working from home, for example. Here in Wales, there never was a rally call for people to go back to the office in the summer. Indoors, people should only meet up with their extended household. That's already the rule in Wales. So what's changing? Well, there is a new message to avoid unnecessary travel. There's no new 5-mile travel limit as we had earlier in the year, but people should question if they need to make that journey. Some may want to rethink their plans for half-term holidays. There's also a new 10 p.m. curfew for pubs, clubs and restaurants. Stop tap, even for off licences. And there are more local lockdowns, such as here in the city of Newport. In local lockdown areas, the travel restrictions are greater. No going in and out of the council area without an essential reason. That's not being made Wales-wide. There are still some parts of the country where COVID case rates are falling. But in order to shelter the nation from a second wave of the pandemic, we're told these changes are essential.
Ministers here at Stormont have warned that we're in for a crucial period ahead. So as of tonight, people across Northern Ireland are no longer allowed to visit other people's homes, indoors that is, no mixing of households, with a few exceptions for things like childcare and medical needs. Now, outside in private gardens, up to 6 people can meet, but from just